Hey guys, Quizzer here, back again with another video. In this video I'm going to be talking about the Xbox One X again. I'm going to be talking about one of the, well not one of, but one of the many sort of massive positives and massive benefits of the Xbox One X. But really not necessarily for what it does for us, but what it does for the gaming industry as a whole. We're playing Halo 5 in the background since I figured that was kind of relevant, because obviously an Xbox One game, Xbox One exclusive, I guess it's kind of relevant, but that's just to keep you guys entertained. Don't really pay much attention to that. But what I'm going to be talking about in this video is really how Xbox One X changes the face of the gaming industry, how it improves it in a massive and massively positive way, and how it really benefits it and benefits us all basically. First off, I did mention this in another video, but I thought it sort of warranted a full video and warranted a whole video instead of just touching upon it in one of my recent videos. First off, it allows people to continue to play their favorite series, such as, Assassin's Creed or, I don't know, Gears of War, Halo. Usually with normal, console generations, right up until now and up until the Xbox One X, you've been cut off. Unless you bought it, you've been cut off from your favorite series. They never, once a new console comes out, they never really put any focus on the last console, and it's just like, get the new one or you're screwed, get the new one or you're locked out completely and you can't enjoy, you can't continue to enjoy your favorite games or favorite series anymore, which really sucks, and it's really crappy. And the whole idea of a console generation was a really bad idea in the first place. I don't know how it really came about, and it became something that people thought was a good idea. I don't know, it's stupid, but that's kind of the topic of this video, how it sort of changed the face of the gaming industry as a whole and gets rid of this whole crappy goddamn console generation idea that really it was doing nothing for the gaming industry. It only makes it worse. It was one of sort of the biggest bad ideas of the gaming industry. I'm going to be talking about that more in this video, so definitely stay tuned. Also, players on each Xbox One now can all play together, and even PC players. If you play on a Windows PC, you can even play with the Xbox players on some games. Not all of them, but I think their their master plan is to make it, available to everyone, and so everyone can play with everyone, kind of. And that's a really goddamn good idea, and it's a really cool idea of them to do that. And it means that not only Windows players, Windows PC players, but it also means Xbox One original can play with Xbox One S and Xbox One Scorpio, Xbox One X. Everyone can play together, which is going to mean that the player count is massive in each game. Say if you fired up Halo 5, you're not going to be cut off from all of the other players. Usually with the same sort of logic of console generations, the same kind of logic of console generations is that you get the modern one, you get the newest console generation, or you don't get to play it. You don't get to play the newest game, and that really cuts off a lot of people from playing their favorite games, like I mentioned before. But it also means the player counts, when the Xbox One first came out, it means that player counts were split between the Xbox One and the Xbox 360, which meant that the player count is, much smaller than it could be, and, the player size in each game is harder to find a match, harder to find a game, which really sucks. It's never good when it takes ages to find a match, or if it takes ages to find a game. It's never good. It's never fun. It's never a good thing, and never gives. It's never good. That doesn't benefit anyone. And when the consoles first come out, a lot of people don't have the money for it, or just don't choose to buy it straight away. So the problem with that is that only a few people, even if it's the majority of people, not everyone's on the new console generation. So the games really aren't that full, and these brand new awesome games that have been worked on for ages, they're not full. You don't really get much of an experience out of it if it's only got half the amount of people that it could have, half the potential players as it could have. Like I said, it gives everyone the option to sort of experience the game and experience the future of like a game series, say Halo 6 for example, or I don't know, Gears of War 5 or something. It gives everyone the opportunity to do it. So a lot of people don't get into gaming, or don't get into current gen gaming, because consoles are just too goddamn expensive. And obviously the Xbox One X is quite expensive, not for what it is. It's a good deal for what it is, but it's still a pretty meaty price tag, and very few kids, very few teens in fact, are going to have that money just lying around. Oh yeah, I've got $500 just lying around, ready to sell or ready to use to buy an Xbox One X. A lot of people don't have that. Even adults don't have that. You got to pay bills and stuff. So it makes sense that people who are on the original Xbox One are going to be able to play, play with people on Xbox One S and Xbox One X. So the whole player count, the whole player base for Xbox is going to be united. And on top of that, we've got Windows people coming in, PC Windows people. Probably going to destroy us because we've got a mouse and keyboard advantage. But I've heard about something that does allow people on Xbox to use mouse and keyboard now. So maybe the playing field is going to become a little bit more even. I don't know. We'll have to see. But it also allows people to continue playing with their friends. Because, say if you've got a ton of friends, they'll get Xbox One X's and you're stuck on the original Xbox One. Because of this, you can play with them. You can continue to play with them. No drama, no problem. If it was a normal console generation, you're screwed. You're not playing with them anymore. Not until you get enough money. It was kind of just like a big screw you from like Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo. These console generations, it's just like, oh yeah, well, you haven't paid for our most recent and most expensive products, so you're not going to get to experience the game. You're not going to be able to be a gamer anymore and have fun with your friends, which it was so stupid. It's so dumb. And I hated that. So it was like just a big screw you really to gamers. I mean, like, you didn't buy the most recent product, you're out of luck. You're completely out of luck because really Xbox and PlayStation, when they bring a new product out, there's no focus on the last gen. There shouldn't be focus on the last gen because it's that's the old product, but it really screws gamers over because the majority of people don't have the the funds or the ability to just switch over to this brand new console. But now you can carry on playing with your friends. You can carry on playing with your homies. You can keep playing whatever game you want. They're going to be able to experience it in a much better light. They're going to be able to enjoy it in 4K or higher frames per second or higher graphical settings. But it's still going to be the same experience, and you're still going to be able to play with your friends. Which is obviously a really good thing because the multiplayer aspect of Xbox and PlayStation is very social and all about friends. And it's actually better. That was my sort of like the better for players section of this video. It's also much better for developers. One of my developers is game developers. So like CD Projekt Red, they make Witcher. 343 Industries, they make Halo. That's what I mean, like the developers behind stuff. Better for them because, believe it or not, whenever a new console generation comes out, it is a huge inconvenience for players. It's a huge inconvenience for huge inconvenience for game developers. They do not want new generations to come out because learning to work with a new console is not easy. It takes a long time because if you think about it, it's this brand new technology that's just come out. They have no idea how it works. They haven't really had it hands-on with it anymore, and then they're expected to learn how it works within the space of 7 months to develop a game. They get 7 months to develop a game, but also at the same time learn as they go along how this new console works and how they can best optimize their games to run with that console. So it's really inconvenient for them, and what this usually results in, because of this massive inconvenience, it usually results in unfinished games or games not really hitting their full potential. The developers struggling to squeeze as much juice and as much power out of a certain console and out of a certain game on that certain console. They just can't squeeze enough power out of it. They can't squeeze enough strength out of it, and as much as they could, because they're not given long enough to learn it. And this results in, crappy games, especially around, well, not crappy games, but crappier games, especially around the launch of these new consoles, because they're expected to, they've been given a really slim time frame to learn this console and develop a game to it at the same time. And the games usually launch unfinished, but not only around the launch of a new console, but forever, really. Because even years in, even after they've learned how to use a console for years and how to optimize games to a console for years, they're still not getting as much out of it as they could if they've been, if they've been working with the same sort of technology, just at different levels, and if it's been upgraded and 4Kified and stuff. If it's still the same sort of technology, they can still work along the same sort of premises and the same sort of lines, and they can use the same sort of, I just got wrecked, they can use the same sort of systems to and methods to optimize the games to it. A good example of this, what I was just saying, a good example of this, how it results in, usually crappy games that really don't live up to their full potential. Assassin's Creed Unity is 100% an example of this, 100% an example of this, because Assassin's Creed Unity had massive potential. It was going to be the you know, the flagship Assassin's Creed. It was the first Assassin's Creed that was going to launch on this console, which, you know, was a big deal, and everyone was excited about it, and they were like, wow, this is going to be awesome. And it could have been awesome, and I think the game was still cool, but you know, undoubtedly was nowhere near as cool as it could have been. It could have been amazing, and it could have really driven these current-gen consoles into an even higher level of success. But because it launched in a very broken way, and because the frame rate was bad and the resolution had issues, I think they had to drop a bunch of graphical settings on both consoles. They just weren't given enough time to learn, you know, how to use it. They just weren't given enough time to learn how to use it and learn how to, you know, apply things to it and apply games into that console. So, you know, you can't expect any better than that. They just weren't given enough time for it. And this will continue to happen. It's not just around sort of the launch of a console. It can be years after the console's launch. If they haven't been given enough time to learn how to, you know, run a game engine with it or run a certain game with it, then it's not going to end up being the game's not going to end up being, you know, taking advantage of the full potential of that engine. It's really crappy, and there's another reason why. The whole console generation idea is just so stupid. It really is. It's so dumb. It's so stupid, and it's so good that Xbox One X is kind of breaking that. I hope that they run with it. I hope that they run with it and continue to run with that sort of idea of, you know, no console generations anymore. It's just an upgraded version. We'll go with the Xbox One X. Ideally, you'd go with the Xbox One X and over time just upgrade it through hardware and software upgrades. So, you know, extra components maybe to plug in or to put into the console, or software upgrades as well, which is just, you know, like an install of an update that will allow the console to use a little bit more of its power, and stuff like that. That would be much better than this brand new console generation. It's really not going to bring about any enhanced features in games because developers just aren't given enough time to run with them and learn how to use them and learn how to develop with them. Now, on to the next sort of segment of this video. Oh, one sec, just before I do move on to the next thing, which is better for the console developers themselves. If developers had, let's say, the same console for 10 years' time, but over that 10 years they sort of gradually upgraded it, or the console was gradually upgraded. Like I said before, they could use the same premise and the same methods to optimize games to that console the whole time. Because if it's the same sort of console, it's built in the same way and the same architecture, then they don't need to relearn how to use it. They might need to learn how to, you know, use the extra power and everything, but it's certainly not as difficult to do as learning how to use like this brand new console that you know, they've never used before and they've never applied a game to before. It would be a much better way of doing it, that would, and they'd be able to squeeze every drop out of a game engine and every drop out of a console, and we'd end up having, you know, much more large, bigger, better games as opposed to unfinished, glitchy, buggy, bad frame rate games, which really just do not take full advantage of the console and the console's power. Because this Xbox One X is going to be super powerful, but, you know, if developers aren't given enough time to work with it, say if it was a brand new console generation and, you know, the Xbox One 2 maybe, or Xbox 2, if it was a brand new console generation, developers wouldn't be given enough time to work with it, and would end up, you know, with crappy games that ran bad, didn't take full advantage of the console, and just weren't that fun to play on compared to what they could be and what they could have been. Now on to the next segment. Like I said, it's better for Microsoft or Sony, depending on who you talk about. Sony kind of did the same sort of thing, but to a much sort of smaller extent with the PS4 Pro. It was so much more tame than the Xbox One X is, and it was so less revolutionary and awesome as the Xbox One X, in terms of tech and specs and stuff, but also in terms of where it's going and the possibility for it breaking this whole crappy console generation idea. But it's better for Microsoft, like I said, better for Microsoft, because having every player united under one multiplayer service will create a much more devoted player base. You know, because like I said, all the reason before that I listed about being able to play with your friends still and being all connected on the same sort of online system, you know, Xbox Live or PlayStation Network, in this case Xbox Live, it's going to create a much more devoted and dedicated player base that are much less likely to leave the console or leave the online service, and Microsoft won't have to waste countless hours and countless money on creating a new console every 5 years. That whole idea of creating a new console every 5 years, it's like the iPhone or Apple perspective, it's just so dumb. It's so dumb. I can't get over how stupid it is. It's like people get to enjoy this console for what, like 4 years, 5 years, and then oh no, it's not relevant anymore. There's not going to be any new games built around it, and it's costly for Microsoft as well. Microsoft did not want to do this. If Microsoft didn't have to do this, then it would be they'd prefer it. They would prefer it. I think now they've actually found a solution as to how they can avoid doing that, and they won't have to do that anymore. And they don't have to focus. They don't have to waste literally countless money and countless hours on creating a new console and new gear for that console every 5 years and every half a decade. It's really not even 5 years anymore. It's supposed to be like 4 years. It's crazy. It's really crazy considering that they're all like considering that they're all like at least $300 consoles are. Who wants to spend $300? That will only last for like 3 or 4 years. It's a really dumb idea, the whole console generation, like I said, and it's much more of a stupid sort of method to do that, instead of just gradually upgrading the console over time, and with hardware and software upgrades. That's nowhere near as costly in terms of time and in terms of money and manpower. It's much easier to do, and it's much more beneficial for the player, for the user, for the customer, because it's not as expensive. Can you imagine like buying a graphical upgrade or a processor upgrade, something that you clip into the Xbox maybe, or just like a new update that you don't have to pay for, or maybe you could pay for it. It wouldn't be expensive at all. It wouldn't cost Microsoft much to make, and it wouldn't cost people much to buy. It really wouldn't. And it would also increase the lifespan of the console like tenfold, and mean that this new non-generation console lasts a lot longer, and people play it a lot longer, and they can keep expanding on it for a lot longer, and building it around modern day games, and constantly improving the graphics and the frame rate, and the map sizes and stuff, and all that good stuff. It also wouldn't have to waste money on working on like a brand new controllers. Every trying to figure out a new controller every goddamn 7 years or whatever. It's such a stupid idea. It really is. Because I feel like Microsoft has really got a winning formula with the Xbox One X. Oh no, Xbox One controller, especially the Xbox One Elite controller. It's perfect. It is without a doubt the best controller out there. I'm not sure if Sony has. In my opinion, I really don't like the Sony controllers. They're too small. They don't fit my hands very well, and I don't like them. I really don't like the sticks either. But I feel like Microsoft's really hit the nail on the head with the Xbox One controller, especially the Elite controller. That's just the god controller. It really is. But they wouldn't have to work on all of that and tweak it. And I don't think Microsoft do want to tweak it. After the Elite controller, I don't think they want to. I think they've hit a point where everyone agrees that it's a really good controller and really enjoys using it. I don't think they want to have to tweak it and change it again. And the learning of a new controller is one of the harder things to do when you upgrade to a new console. And I really wouldn't want to learn a new controller, since I love these Xbox One controllers so goddamn much. But yeah, I've covered it. I think I've covered pretty much everything, all the points. I just really hate console generations. It's I saw some comments like this in other places in the internet. I think in comments or a comment thread somewhere on someone else's video, and I agree with it so much that console generations are just so dumb. They really are. They don't do anything for the gaming industry, and I think it was developed as a way of, when consoles were weak and gaming on consoles was just breaking out. I think around the first Halo game, in fact, so it's fitting that we're playing Halo right now. Around the time of the first Halo game, it was sort of consoles, the original Xbox, I know I said Xbox One, the original Xbox was very weak at that time. Obviously, everything was at that time, nothing could run, and gaming was really just breaking out. There obviously was gaming before that, but not much 3D gaming and not much really decent gaming. So I think they didn't want to stick to like a formula that they knew wouldn't work after more than eight or so years. I think that was the reason that they built this. So I think the console generation really came from early PlayStation, early Xbox, and it worked back then. It made sense to sort of run with console generations back then, but it no longer does. It's just so stupid and so dumb now. And I really would like to see the end of console generations with the Xbox One X, and I think it could if Microsoft take it down the right route and sort of offer upgrades, whether or not stuff that you clip into your Xbox, or maybe offer the option. It doesn't seem too hard to open up an Xbox One X. I don't think it will be. Maybe if they make it so that you can open up the Xbox One X and clip something in, or maybe if they just increase the power by updating the software and making it so that they release updates for like the interior part of the Xbox, and make it so the Xbox can take advantage of more of its power, I think that would really extend the lifespan of the console, but also at the same time mean that we have, you know, upgraded consoles. The console's always upgrading and always getting more powerful, but at the same time we don't have to pay for it, or we don't have to pay much for it. Obviously, like a hardware upgrade, say if you bought it off the internet, that you know, that you clip in, or maybe it goes in via HDMI or USB, that would be a really good thing to do, and it wouldn't be expensive. I don't think, you know, just like you would with a PC, you know, when you get a new PC, you buy, or you get a PC that you want to upgrade, you buy like a new graphics card or something, just something like that. Not a completely new graphics card for the Xbox One X, but some upgrades or something, maybe something like that. I think that would be a very good way of extending the lifespan of the console without it being super costly for Microsoft or for gaming. So I think it would be a really cool way of doing it, and a really cool method. It extends the lifespan of the console, but it doesn't support console generations, because console generations are dumb as hell, like I've covered in this video. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. I think this is going to be something that people are very sort of vocal on, so obviously head down in the comments, let me know your opinions on the matter. If you want to see any more of my videos, definitely stick around and subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.